What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show Clock's Running, the podcast for everything flag football officials. I'm your host, Ant, and I am still very sunburned from Vegas. I was also officiating this past weekend in Orange County, doing some fives and co-eds. So I just added to my sunburn. I've been taking on aloe vera as much as possible, but I am so excited for the show tonight. Let's get right into it. We have three amazing guests. First and foremost, I want to bring a guy that his life completely changed the moment the movie Friday came out. Let's bring Craig on. What up, Craig?
Got fired on my day off from stealing boxes.
All
How's
right,
it
next
going?
up,
How's it going?
good to have you. Next up, we got the queen of all things hot pink, Krista. Let's see, there we go. Hey, Krista, how are
Hi.
you?
Good.
All right, and finally, we have. Oh man, there's so much I could say about him, but he is the king of North Carolina. Here he is, Jacob. What up, Jacob?
What up?
Man, so I'm so excited to have all three here. We're going to get into East Coast Nationals in a bit, but first and foremost, whenever we bring on a new guest, we just want to take the time to hear your origin story, what got you into flag, where it's taken you, and where you are now. So let's go with ladies first. Krista, the floor is yours.
So it's like our villain story. So,
Exactly.
so I actually started out, I was playing volleyball, and a girl that I was playing with, she was like, "Hey, have you ever played flag football?" I was like, "Well, in school or whatever." And she said, "Well, why don't you come out and play?" So I came out, fell in love with the game, had been playing for 12 years at that point, was out at Jacob, was running Camel City, was out there, was standing next to him. And this may come as a shock to everyone on this call. I'm a little bit of a control freak. And I was like, Jacob, you could do this or this or this. And if you added this, this would be really cool. And the next week he was like, "Well, Krista, you want to come on board with Camel City?" I was like, "Well, sure. Okay." Came on board. Then a little while later, Craig and Mike actually asked us to be a part of East Coast Nationals. And we became a part of FFWCT, now USA Flag. And that's been 4 years, I think. And here going on 5 years, I guess. Now I play, ref, direct, and yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. So talk to me about your playing career. Like, are you a quarterback? Do you play D line? What do you do?
So I play center, wide receiver, fives, quarterback, and linebacker.
Okay,
But I
and what
mostly
is
play
your
women's.
okay, and what's your favorite format to play?
Well, they didn't have five contact for women when I was playing. That came on board kind of the last time that I was playing all the time. So my favorite I would have to say would be five women's, but eight women's was probably my favorite at the time.
Absolutely. Okay,
So I
and
can lay
in
hands
H,
on people.
yeah, for sure, definitely. Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Craig, you're up. I'm sure your origin story goes back 75, 80 years. So let us have
Is that a gray hair joke, huh? Um, yeah. So no, actually, I'll give you the short version. I guess late '90s, the job I worked at wanted to donate some money to the county. That county had a flag football league. They asked me, "Hey, you have some friends? You want to play flag football in the county flag league? We're going to pay for it." And I was like, "Sure." So I just asked some friends. Just so happened to be my partner now was Mike, and we started playing for 8-on-8 contact was the first style that I was introduced to. We also played four man and some non-contact styles, and then as the latter years came, we played five contact, and that's kind of where I retired. Um, USFTL was the governing body, which had a lot of the larger tournaments. They held the nationals back in the day, so I'm a four-time national champion. Uh, in different styles, 5 contact all, except some was one was 35 and over. So that was good. And starting that, that was the playing days. But then so Mike and I were coming home from a tournament, and we didn't like the way that it was ran. Him and I looked at each other and said, "Hey, we could probably start something." This was about 2006. We started off with just small ball formats, 5-man contact and 4-man back then. We started having teams from all over the East Coast come to travel to tournaments that we had. So we just kept growing and growing and growing. Then became Natalie actually offered an opportunity to become a director at USFTL under her wing and some other directors. Mike and I both were given that opportunity. I was the 5-man director, then I was the 8-man director. And then USFTL went away, and Natalie went with USA Flag, and I went with her. And just been working with them, traveling the world, not necessarily the world, traveling the country, hosting flag football tournaments, and just having an opportunity to be a part of the game still, even though I'm not playing. It's actually a blessing to be able to continue to be a part of something that you have such a passion for, and not necessarily playing. So I'm grateful for that.
Awesome. And Craig, what is your favorite city to travel to for flag?
Favorite city? I mean, I just have a lot of good memories in Florida, whether it was Tampa, whether it was Orlando. That's always been the best tournament throughout the years. Funnest outside of flag football, it's going to be a Vegas. It's got to be a Vegas.
Gotcha. So just we have 2 other guests that are from the SEC of contact football. Craig, I just want to ask you, the home of the 5 contact world champs are where currently?
I block it out
Winchester,
of my mind.
Virginia.
I'm not sure. Not sure.
I'm pretty sure Free Smoke is in the DMV, if I'm right. Is that right, Jacob? Or
yeah,
Hey, I mean,
They're Winchester of Boone registered them.
It depends on who registers.
Nut every once in a while.
They definitely they claim the DMV for sure.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, Jacob, I just want to follow back around with you real quick. Anything you want to talk about this past weekend, officiating wise, that you experienced?
Had fight night again this weekend.
In a youth league?
Yes. Yeah. Jordan and I were working a youth league here in Winston. It's actually the irony. It's beautiful. The Police Foundation here in Winston-Salem puts on a free youth league for kids ages from I think 6 up to high school. And we were in the afternoon. We were with the high schoolers. Got a little chippy. We tried to get them to calm down, and next thing I know, kid had an interception, jumped in the other team's huddle, and it was off to the races. So, but it was a good time. Otherwise, it was fun. It was nice to get on the field and actually officiate and work with Jordan and have fun. So.
Nice. You say you have fun, but I feel like by the end of that day, your smile had definitely turned to somewhat of a frown. I just noticed from pictures.
I mean, I have a good RBF, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially when you're telling the same ones to do the same thing every play. They're not listening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, Krista, when a fight breaks out, do you just drive your glitter cart right into the middle of it and break it up? What's your plan of attack when a fight breaks out?
That's my plan, because we know if I get hit, the whole tournament shuts down. So, because if Jacob gets hit, it doesn't. It just keeps going. If I get hit, the whole thing is over. So I was told to drive my cart right in the middle and they'll stop, except for 2 years ago, I accidentally ran over someone's foot. But he didn't keep fighting, so
Good stuff.
He was like, you're on my foot. And I was like, oh, my bad. And then I just stayed there. He got his foot. He kept on going.
So, so Craig, have you ever been punched by another director like Jacob was a couple weeks ago?
No, but I wish it was on video. I wish somebody had it. It would
That's
be
not true.
lovely.
I've punched Craig.
Ah,
Okay, all right. All right, well, let's get right into the topics tonight. I just want to kind of go at, two different approaches of each topic, and we'll get into it and hopefully have some debate. So I know that this is a big controversy. I came from a state of Colorado where literally poppers did not exist up until 2 years ago. So whether it was triple threats or the Velcro flags that for some reason were still existing, Colorado did not understand that poppers were a wave of the future. I think that poppers should be uniform. I know there's definitely a big following for triple threats. Jacob, let's start with you. What do you like, and why do you prefer that style of flag?
I mean, so when I started playing 7 screen. Started with triple threats. It was nice that I could just run by a person and slap their waist, and the flag would fall off, and that would be it. Having the poppers, even though they were the flag tag, it made you actually learn how to pull flags. So if I have to choose a preference, poppers are the way to go. It's simple. They're more, in my mind, they're more inclusive. There's more you can do with them. There's just they're just overall better in my mind.
Okay, and how do you feel about as far as like the big ball formats having three poppers? Is that equivalent to triple threat? Does that make
I mean, in
sense
my
to you?
mind,
Or
in my mind, just play with two. You know, the third one is just you're looking for a compromise that probably isn't necessary. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but if you're gonna play with poppers, just play with two. Just have it where it's just the normal run of the mill. They're on your hips. That's where you got to pull the flags from. You're not chasing a tail like what Craig's holding up. Hey, those are a couple of years ago. Um, but yeah, I think you play with two. Playing with a third, I think is unnecessary. I think it's like I said, nine man's been doing it for years, playing with poppers, and they don't have issues. So why would any other format have issues?
yeah, so Craig, just to bring you into this, what do you think would change if 8 man, 7 man changed from triple threat to poppers?
so I'm more familiar with 8 man than 7 man, but I
Well,
mean,
seven
my
man is
per
poppers.
Yeah,
Yes, I know some places still use triple threats, but yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
the archaic
so
ones.
I mean, it would change. It definitely would alter the game. I don't think it would be for the worst. I see both versions of it. I grew up playing with triple threat. That's all there was, unless you played 4 man. If you played 4 man, it was poppers. When I was coming up, the non-contact was always poppers, and the contact was triple threat back in the day. Um, I like triple threat. I love poppers. I really feel like it's more of a, uh, as a player, you don't want to have to carry around two separate flags. Most of these guys and girls and kids, they play multiple styles. So if they want to play 8 contact and then they have to go transfer and play another style, they got to take the flags off. They got to put new flags on. They may forget. Um, Back in the day, it was actually even more. Uh, Talking about flags, one of the rules was if you started the game without a flag on, it was a penalty. Um, and that was whether it was your entire triple threat belt or you were missing one of the poppers out of the two poppers that you had. Um, so I mean, I think a lot of things change when you change into poppers. It could get more physical because they're bottling up more to try to slow the momentum to grab the flag, or it could be less physical because somebody's just worried about the flag and not worrying about bodying up. But in contact flag, when you're pulling the flag, these coaches and these guys that are learning how to play are taught to wrap up. You know, um, I know that's not a great term in flag football, but in contact flag, the term is wrap up. And you're going to wrap up a little bit differently with triple threat than you are with pop flags.
Gotcha. So, Krista, do you think that going over completely to poppers would open up the door for players to manipulate the flags more? I mean, with triple threat, it's pretty basic. Really, the only way you can cheat is to tie the belt itself. But poppers, there's a lot more things you can do. What are your thoughts?
I don't know because there are a lot of people who do a lot of stuff to their triple threat belts. I mean, my boyfriend's played 8-man for a long time. I've got a lot of friends who've played 8-man and other things that are triple threats. You can tie them, you can twist them, you can soak them in water, you can shorten them. You can do a lot of stuff with a triple threat belt that makes them harder, and it's a lot less visible than on a triple threat or than on a popper belt. You're able to see the differences. What are you going to do? You're going to cut them? Well, if the referee's paying attention, they're going to see that it's shorter or more narrow. So I think it's actually going to make it less likely that you're modifying your belt versus a triple threat belt.
Okay. Well, I mean, I actually think we're all kind of in agreement here. Poppers are better, and triple threats should go in the trash. So let's just let's.
I think triple threats to me are better for people who can't pull flags, and poppers are more a true flag pulling player.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that there is an ability that you have to learn to pull poppers. Where with triple threats, like Jacob said, you could sneeze at somebody and those are falling off. I also think that as far as like the bigger quarterbacks with poppers, it makes it really hard to be able to sack those bigger guys. So where again with triple threats, because they have such a hard time like getting that belt secured, they're gonna end up getting sacked a lot more often. So that's just my opinion coming from.
Or they tuck it under their belly.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Because that's the beauty of it now. You can tuck the clip right underneath your belly and just lean forward a little bit, and you're not getting the flag.
It might be pulled, but it's still staying on.
Exactly.
Good point. Good point. Okay, let's move right along to the next topic. I just want to talk about the completely different sides of the coin with flag football. We got non-contact, we got contact. Non-contact is where we're headed with the Olympics. Contact, I know all you guys are in the South and in the East, and contact is loved over there. Coming from the West Coast, coming from Colorado, I know non-contact is definitely a lot more favored. So, Krista, what do you prefer as a director? What do you prefer as like the future of flag moving forward? What do you think?
I definitely prefer contact as a director just because I prefer to watch it. I do, it's just my favorite style to watch. It's my favorite style to play. I do understand why on a national and international level they are going towards more non-contact. As Jacob will always say, here in the US, it's football first, flag second. Internationally, it's flag first, football second. So I do understand that. I think there needs to be some kind of middle ground because in international, you sneeze on somebody and it's a penalty. You think about pulling their flag hard, it's a penalty. Where, especially with the three of us, especially with DMV and Camel City, you're not getting a flag for much of anything. And you were there for playoffs.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you're not getting a flag for, where in other contact leagues you are. So I think there has to be a little bit more of a middle ground. But I do understand why it is going more non-contact for the international formats.
Gotcha. So, Craig, as a director in the DMV, have you guys ever attempted to have like an IFAF kind of format, run that in tournaments at all?
Not specifically IFAF. I mean, we definitely do non-contact styles. We've done 7-man, 4-man, 5-man, all non-contact. We've done 8-man, 9-man. I think we've done at least one event, whether at a league or tournament, of probably every single style that's out there. But except for that IFAF, I do see the value in it. I see the the larger brands, the NFL, they're kind of adopting that style also. Um, I think from what I'm seeing, the non-contact styles are where everything is leaning towards. I'm like Krista. I was brought up on contact, so that's always going to be, I lean towards that style. As I got older as a player, I was definitely non-contact. I switched, probably around
Yeah.
30
Want to break a
30
hip?
30 years old. About my 30-year-old mark, I flipped the switch and went solely playing non-contact and filling in for five contact. So I mean, I see why people play that style, and it's fast and fun, But contact, whether it be 8-man or 5-man, I even like watching 9-man. Is definitely going to be, you know, my fave.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you sharing about flag football. When you were 30, when was that? In the 60s or 70s? Like it seems like it was a long time ago. But
I'm
no, I
only
appreciate you.
47.
Appreciate you sharing that. So, Jacob, I kind of already know your opinion, but I do want to present a format that I played in Colorado in my small little town in northern Colorado in Fort Collins. So they ran an 8-man uh, screen basically, but the screen was very light. So essentially, it was they would only get field space on baseball fields. So we had to use a very small green, grass area on baseball fields,
Yeah.
and there had to be three O linemen, and you of course you could rush as many as you possibly could. The O linemen had to have their hands behind their backs and could not make any steps at all, and could not make any contact. And so essentially, and the rushers couldn't make any contact either. So essentially, there were six people on the field doing nothing for the entire game. So to me, that didn't
So,
make
so what are
sense at
you
all.
asking me here?
So I mean, I just wanted to present a really dumb format that I played in, and as Craig mentioned, he's a four-time national champ. I am a two-time 8-man non-contact champ.
Were you one of the six people that didn't do anything, or one
Yeah.
of the other
I,
people that did?
absolutely, I was
Thank you, Chris.
absolutely. Yep.
That's funny.
I had a little extra weight to me, so yeah, I was on the O line.
Yes, you were one of the six.
Nice.
Yeah. So okay, Jacob, go ahead and tell us why contact's the best thing in the world and why it'll never go away. Blah blah blah. Go ahead.
Well, but I mean, so number one, you brought three very like-minded people on this show. I just want you to be aware of this. This is why we all work so well together. But like I came into contact. I started in contact. Um, that's what I played. I didn't really. I had a few opportunities to play some non-contact in the later, towards the end of my playing, like predominantly playing days. I would play non-contact. But I mean, I think it's exactly like Krista and Craig said. You know, contact's always got a special place for me. I enjoy watching it. I enjoy the schemes and how you can make things work and how you can involve a more diverse group of people, as opposed to our non-contact styles, which it's all speed, and which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have different factors and different elements to it. It's all one-sided. Um, so I think our that's why I always go back to contact. Non-contact, it's like we've said, nationally, internationally, it makes sense. You're trying to promote a brand and make a product where you're showing a safe and productive sport for kids and coming up where they can play and not be in danger of having serious injury. It helps out some of these helicopter parents, be able to feel better about their kids playing football. So, in the grand scheme of things, non-contact is probably the way to go. But there is always going to be that little spot for me that I'd rather be on a contact field.
Yeah, no, definitely. And as I said, a few episodes ago, if I had the money and I was to start a league, I would have IFAF in the mornings, and I would have fives contact in the afternoon, and
Polar
I would run, I would, I would run both extremes because I mean, as an official, I guess I appreciate both extremes in that I really enjoy IFAF because it's very black and white. And if you see contact, even if it's outside of the lines, if contact happens, you're throwing your flag. And
Mhm.
so, um, for men, I will say it is really hard to play IFAF or Olympic style because their brain cannot switch over to where it is all about finesse. It is all about athleticism. Brute force means nothing in IFAF. Where I have noticed with women flag football players, they're dialed in. They've got schemes. They've got playbooks. They've got it figured out, and they just run flag football, specifically non-contact, very very well. On the other side of it, five contact, I can basically close my eyes after a while because you're just letting them play, like, and there would be
Yeah,
no
pretty much.
different. And because I played contact, and after I got out of that little league and I went into eight contact and traveled five contact, six contact, those things were so much fun for me. As I got older and fatter as a player, I didn't have as much speed. So to me, I just wanted to hit guys, and so I had a place where I could continue to play. So that's why I enjoy contact. But I see both
Some
sides of it. On the other side of that, women have done even a better job at contact than men. So I just think in general, the future is the women's sport. And as I'm starting to notice this sixes format in Southern California, basically that league is made up of guys that are in their mid 40s, getting close to 50, and that's all that's left in that. And if I think that's what the future of flag is, it's kind of looking in that direction. That's they're going to hold on to the formats that make sense to them. But I feel like the future is really it is female. Krista, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And one of the reasons I think it's going that way is because there's only been a certain amount of sports that women can play for a long time. I grew up playing basketball, volleyball, softball. My senior year in high school, I played soccer. I did some track stuff, but I did shot put, discus, and triple jump. I know, the weirdest three combination there could have been. But as the younger girls are getting out there and playing, they're discovering this entirely new world. You've got these girls that are able to get college scholarships for playing flag football, which is insane to me. And it's just opening it up to such a even wider variety of, young women who are going to be just playing for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And it's just incredible to see, Charlotte Mecklenburg schools, they started playing, it's an intramural sport. It's not a high school sport yet here, but they started playing 3 years ago. They started playing in Raleigh just this last year. So it's just great to see the amount of growth that it is for women.
For sure. And Craig, as a director, do you feel like as these trends start to happen in flag football, have you shifted kind of your attention or how you schedule formats, or are you starting to bring in more women formats? What changes have you made?
Oh, definitely. You got to offer what the individuals and players and teams want. So, as it's growing nationally, it's growing locally also. So, we're offering the co-ed styles, we're offering the women's styles locally, and that sport is just growing by leaps and bounds. We were talking about it earlier about the women being the next best thing in flag football. I agree with that, but I also agree with youth is going to, and I think as the youth is really who is introducing flag football to the girls because youth is co-ed a lot of times or women only, so it gives the girls that are coming up that like to play sports and like to be competitive at a young age, it gives them an opportunity to play with boys and hone their skills, and it definitely helps the game out. So, if there is any women's only opportunities, they're already ready because they've been playing for so long in co-ed youth leagues. And I think that gives them an advantage too, to get those scholarships, like Krista was saying, and that's a testament to the local leagues and things. So I've only ran adult leagues here locally, and there was a young lady. Her name is Alyssa. She's been playing flag football in the local leagues here in my league, preferably probably since she was, 12, 13 years old. Right out of high school, they recruited her. She was probably the first college recruited athlete from our area. And, it was exciting to see, and not only was she recruited, her team Ottawa is like
I was
been
gonna say, isn't she
killing
like a
it the last.
three-time national
Yes.
champion?
Yep, exactly. So it was really good to, she didn't only play in our league, she played in a lot of events. But a lot of the older guys, she wanted to play. We would let her play. It was an all men's tournament. That team only had 6 players. They needed another player. They let her play, and she excelled. I think it's really exciting for them
Uh,
as females to get that opportunity.
yeah, it's awesome. And Jacob, I know in North Carolina, most towns only have a population of like 30 to 40 people and one
Yeah.
stoplight and things like that. How does, is there a
Big
shift
town.
happening in, in North Carolina?
Say that again. What was the last part?
Is there a shift happening in North Carolina with women being able to play
Slow,
more flag football?
slowly but surely, man. I think as far as adults go, you're starting to see more and more leagues. 8 contact is predominantly what's offered here. Earlier this year, Krista and we partnered up with a league in Raleigh, um, to host a tournament, for women's, to get them involved in the smaller formats. Just trying to give them a more diverse background. Let's see more formats. Um, and I think at a high school and youth level, you're starting to see more and more. And while it hasn't been recognized as a sport yet for the states, as far as like a actual high school sport, a lot of the intramurals are happening. A lot of the counties are starting to warm up to the idea of flag football for the females, and I think it's great.
So my next question is when is Camel City going to have a fives women's contact offered? That's
We've actually been asked. We've actually been asked. I think that our first option would be to have a 5 contact tournament, because then you can have it in
Mhm.
one day, give the opportunity. From there is when you can go into leagues, because you don't want to have multiple weeks and have 4 teams doing it or 6 teams doing it. You want to give the people what they want, but something that makes sense.
for sure. And yeah, and I think it is kind of that awkward stage right now where there still are expenses, you have field space and paying for referees and all that. So it's a little awkward to kind of make a full shift, but I do think it is slowly shifting. In Southern California, that's kind of what the struggle is right now. Is there is a huge population of women that want to play flag, but to get a whole team together and have a weekly league, we just wrapped up the women's fives league out here with Tough, and there was 6 teams, and the league lasted 4 weeks with playoffs. So they all played each other a lot. But I do think that from their perspective, they looked at it like we got a lot of experience, and especially with that Vegas tournament happening, they were really able to prepare. Which outside of that league being offered, everywhere else in Southern California, they're either playing on the beach or they're playing sixes, and that doesn't translate nationally. So I appreciate at least the beginning of it starting to happen, and I think the shift will continue to push that way. We also are closer to the border of Mexico, and a lot of athletes are able to come up and play in tournaments and leagues in San Diego, which is exciting. But I will say that any athletes coming from Mexico, they do not want any contact at all, and so it is hard to explain to them, with officiating that like, oh, it's a little different here because in Mexico it's completely IFAB and that's all they play.
Right.
They don't play anything else. So
And that's where the aired out co-ed format is really good because a lot of times one of the issues that you have for women's formats is you have the women athletes who can play wide receiver, who can play defense, but they can't play quarterback necessarily. So that aired out co-ed, I feel like is such a fantastic format because if you can get that male quarterback, you can build a team of women around them or in a rusher to get those women playing and give them the opportunity to play without having to struggle to find a female quarterback because that tends to be the hardest position to find for women.
yeah, for sure. No, that's a good point too. All right, well, let's go ahead and keep moving along. The next thing I just want to talk about is big ball versus small ball. Jacob, I just want to start with you. What do you like about each style? What do you hate? It's all you.
So, like I said before, when I first started playing, I was playing 7 screen. My first tournament I ever played was actually an 8 contact tournament. It's the only time I've ever played 8 contacts. The last time I played 8 contact, I'll never play 8 contact again. So I feel like 8 contact. It's a pro to it, and even 7 screen. It's as close to regular football as you're gonna get. You're on full size field. You have it's more standardized. Things run more in line with regular football. With you just wearing flags. For me, small ball, it's more fun. It's a little more quirky. You can do a little bit more. You can scheme it differently. You can go outside of the box. So if I had to choose a preference, it's going to be small ball every day. Give me 5 contact, give me 5 non-contact, give me fours, 6 contacts, even kind of pushing it. To me, that format's a little slow, but that's just me personally.
Krista, what are your thoughts?
I get so bored in big ball, and I'm literally a big ball director for national formats. And my ADD starts kicking in. I don't know what down it is. I don't know what half it is. I don't know who's where. I'm glad that I have the referees in place because I don't know what's happening half the time. I just one of the things about in small ball, there's there's potential for just a superstar play anytime first down, second down, third down. You can throw the length of the field. There's something crazy happening anytime. That's not usually the case on big ball, eights or sevens. I will say for someone who's slow, it's a little more helpful though. It gives you a little time to get a little break when you can catch your breath. But I just personally get bored with big ball.
Yeah. Craig, your thoughts? I know the East Coast loves playing eights and nines still. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion, I love 8 man, full contact flag football on the big field. As a player and as an enthusiast of the game, as a director, and in the operations, looking at it that way, and just managing an event, small ball is much easier to handle than 8 balls, less people. It's all around easier to manage. Although I love 8 contact, I love the full size field. I love the kickoff, the kick returns, the punts. The deep plays. You can run the full length of the field, and you see a quarterback heave it. I mean, and you just watch, and it. It's fun. It's a fun game. But unfortunately, the older community are the ones that the veterans. They're the ones that are really keeping the big ball styles alive. The new people coming up, they're all small ball. That's what they grew up playing in youth flag. They don't know much about full size flag football, full size field flag football. So I think once this generation, for lack of a better term, dies off, the large ball formats will probably die with them.
Yeah, I think that the generation that you're speaking of, they also have, quote unquote adult jobs. So it's easier for them to continue to pay to play and all of that. Where the youth is coming up, but the youth has to ask mom and dad for for money to buy poppers and cleats and pay for a team fee and a player fee and all of those things. So I do think that is an aspect of keeping some of those formats alive. Coming from Colorado, when I was first initially putting a team together and a team manager, I wanted to bring eights, to try to show that Colorado was amazing at contact and we could handle it. And I could never get 20 to 30 guys to travel anywhere outside of the state of Colorado. So that's kind of what brought me into going into small ball, fours and fives, and just figuring it out. I actually I love sixes contact because I do think that it still kind of honors some of the good parts of eights contact, but it's less time, it's a smaller field. Also, being on the line, I saw a lot more action in sixes contact than I ever did in eights contact. So I really enjoyed that, especially with guys like Detroit. I mean, if I really wanted to know how good I was, you got to find them in fives or sixes contact. So I know there's plenty of amazing eighth contact players, but I don't know. I feel like fives contact it has especially on the line, they've got the guys that are really going to test your physicality for sure. So just finally,
sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say, small ball also exposes people too. It shows if you're actually if you're a good flag player, if you're a good athlete. It also shows if people have been trying to hide you.
Yes.
Bigger formats, it's easier to hide somebody and tuck somebody. Well, hey, yeah, you go play linebacker here. Just stay in the middle of the field. Don't worry about it. We'll cover everything.
Yeah.
Can't do that in small ball.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yep, that's for sure. I think there's definitely some guys on eighth contact teams that probably never made it out of Pee Wee football. I'm sure that's why Chun loves eighth contact so much, is that he played that. Anyway, that's what Chun gets for bailing on our episode last week, right, Jacob?
That's right.
We get a rag on him a little bit. All right, cool. Well, I know that there's the real reason why all you guys are on here tonight is looking forward for this weekend, East Coast Nationals. This is going to be my first time East Coast Nationals, so I don't know anything about it. Craig, let's start with you. Just tell me all about it. What makes it different? What do you love? What do you hate? Talk to me.
Well, first and foremost, it's a collective group of like-minded people from all up and down the East Coast that put on this event. From Camel City, Jakob and Krista, we got the Pittsburgh Flag Football Association, Ohio Greater Cleveland Flag Football tournaments down in Florida. We brought in Chun Pick Six. I mean, the reality of it is it's just a collective group of us that are providing this, sanctioned with USA flag. It's really probably one of the best events competition wise and just all around organization that you'll find on the East Coast. That's not an actual world tournament. So there's a whole vendor village, there's 12 full-size turf fields. And we use every inch of that park for youth and adult. So it's a good time. The reason I think it works the best, it's really kind of like a middle ground for a lot of areas. Everybody can get there in a drive, from the East Coast. We have 170 some teams for adult. Krista could probably give me the exact number. Youth has 70 teams, so that's a great total number we have going to be there. We take what we learn when we travel all across the United States for flag football tournaments and bring it to this event, just to make it the best one we possibly can.
Awesome. And so has there been a change that you've made different from last year to this year?
I mean, there's going to be some different food vendors. There was different, Krista could probably jump on this. It was, scheduling probably was a little bit different. I feel like we learn every year how to make it better for the team so they can play more formats, so we can maximize the usage of the field space, and so we don't have to be out there until midnight. So, there's definitely in the organization, we always learn. So they might not be drastic things that a player might notice besides, more food vendors or, anything like that. But we definitely do things uh, differently year to year based on what we've learned the previous years.
Nice. So Krista, I want to just hand it off to you. Craig kept mentioning you, so I think you got a lot to say.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about this tournament is this tournament has taught me so much just especially on the scheduling side from Mike, Craig's partner Mike, and Natalie taught me how to schedule an entire 200 plus team tournament, how to do the blocks and event connect, everything. So each year, that is something that does change year to year, is our blocks, who plays when, who plays what time. We've kind of gone from different year where you have 3 pool play games and only half the team make playoffs, or where this year it's 2 pool play games, everybody makes playoffs. This year, 8-man rec is pool play, where in past years it's been double elimination. We do try to take feedback from the teams from every year, where, for example, 8 co-ed had made the suggestion one year that they not play at night because it's a lot of women. Well, I'm always with Craig and Jacob and Mike and everybody, so I may not have thought about that, them walking to the parking lot. So this year, their championship game on Sunday is at 5 o'clock. It is something each year. I try to take the feedback, not just from the players, from the other directors as well, and try to make adjustments to who's playing at what time, what formats overlap with other formats. Like there are some that are pretty obvious. We're not going to overlap 8 contact and 5 contact. We're not going to overlap 4-man and 5 non-contact. But you try to take into consideration some of the other formats that people play, because we do want them to be able to play as many formats as they want to play, because there are people that are going to come out there and try to play 8 formats. And if they want to do that, we want to give them the best possible chance to do that.
Gotcha. So last week we talked about in Vegas just kind of the issues with sandbagging and some of the things that came up with that. Is there anything that you have done, Krista, to kind of prevent that, or what have you done?
Unfortunately, there's not really anything you can do. You
Yeah.
could literally win 10 pro tournaments in a row, and you can say, all right, guys, you can't play pro this year, or you can't play pro at this tournament. And they're going to say, all right, cool. And they're going to change their team name and play the next tournament in comp or whatever. I wish there was a way that you could evaluate people, like I know softball does, where you could only play certain levels. But to me, flag is so dependent on who you have playing with you that it's hard to do that, because us 4 could play with Hoosh as quarterback and be one level, and play with me at quarterback and be another level, and play with Jacob at quarterback and be a completely other level. So it's really hard to say what level people are just based on what they played at one tournament.
Hmm. Gotcha. So, Jacob, just kind of following up with East Coast Nationals, this is a big collection of a lot of different organizations. Are there any kind of bragging rights of who the champs are coming from which league? Do you guys get into that at all?
So I think a little bit, and I think it more comes from 5 contact. Um, I think we all look at it a little bit. We each year, and ironically enough, this is the 5th year we've had this tournament, and the tournament we've worked together. Um, no no champion has been back to back yet. We've never had a champion from the same area. So I think that's something that's always been pretty cool. We've had a pretty it's never been, it's never been one team dominant. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see how it boils down to what it comes down to with 5 contact. I think that's kind of not necessarily our premiere, but it's pretty close. I think we all kind of when five contact plays, we all kind of turn our focus just a hair more to that. Just so we can kind of have bragging rights for that.
Yeah. Craig, any races planned for East Coast Nationals this weekend?
I've been hitting the cardio, trying to get myself ready. I don't know if that's a Vegas only thing or not. I have to talk to Jacob about that and figure it out.
Is the wife letting you race?
I'm just
No,
saying.
no. She does not know. No races. Maybe golf cart races. We can see how that plays out.
I like where your mind's at.
Yep.
Where your mind's at.
Meaning I'll be on the golf cart, Jacob, you'll be running. No, but just to kind of plug East Coast Nationals, something that kind of separates this event from a lot of the other events is something that Mike and I, when we had the idea to do this event, when we were bringing everybody in, we collectively decided that, you know what, these teams like to play for cash. They like to do that. Whether I agree with it or not is another story, but they really like to play for cash. So we wanted to give an opportunity for every single style, whether it was our division, whether it was pro, comp, rec, whatever, the best of the best or the worst of the worst, we're going to give them a cash prize also. So every single division, when you win your division and your style, no matter if you were playing in rec or comp or pro, you will be receiving a cash prize. You will be receiving a ring. You will be receiving a T-shirt. You will be receiving an award, a championship chain. Those kind of things. You'll be leaving the park with them. It's not something that you will have to worry about. Not even worry, but it's not something that you have to check your account later to see if it came through. You actually have all your prizes in your hand when you leave the park at the end after you take your championship picture. And not a lot of organizations, small or big, can actually say that. So, we're definitely proud of that. And we try to, make that known, and hopefully that will gain some traction with getting more teams. I'm expecting even more teams next year. Obviously, the registration is over, but if anybody wanted to, find out information about next year, let us know. We'll make sure you get on that newsletter list so we can make sure that it happens for them.
And
Yeah,
we do have
there's
the
that.
best rings.
Huh?
I've
We do have the
seen
best
pictures
rings.
of the rings. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
pictures of the rings. They look great. And there's Craig talking about something that really no one in this next generation understands: a newsletter. I don't even know if I've seen a
The
newsletter
email,
in a long
the email
time.
list. Email.
Oh,
email.
okay.
Email.
Sports
It's
newsletter.
okay. It's all right. We'll get through it. It's okay. Yeah. So, Jacob, just to review for you, it sounded like at some point in the podcast, Craig said that the DMV runs five contact until Camel City proves otherwise. So, I just wanted to let you know that's what he said. I just
Okay.
filling it in for you.
Yep.
I
I
do wanna
appreciate
add-
that.
I do want to add to, like, kind of off key with that, kind of going back to what Krista and Craig were talking about just a few minutes ago with kind of what this tournament means. This was the first opportunity Krista and I had to work any kind of large scale event. Mike and Craig came in and took a chance working with us because at the end of the day, at that point I'd only ran leagues. I ran like small local tournaments. Krista was getting her feet underneath her, trying to figure out everything what she was doing. And they came in and they said, "Hey, we want to work with you guys. We want to take a chance." So this tournament always has like a special place for me. And it's great people to work with. We argue, we bicker like family, but there's nowhere
We
else
might
I'd
kick
rather
you
be.
off a golf cart while it's still running.
You might get kicked off a golf cart while you're still running. Another one of your close directors might punch you in the back when you're not even suspecting it.
We needed Mike
But-
on to tell the golf cart story.
Exactly. But there's just so many great people that like that this tournament has introduced me to it. So many opportunities that this tournament's introduced, both not only myself but Krista as well, that we've been introduced to in these last few years, and I couldn't be more thankful for it. So I really appreciate this, and this is, like I said, it's going to be a great weekend. I can't wait.
It's awesome. So, Craig, I just want to ask you. It doesn't bother me. I'll eat Subway 7 times in a row. I really don't care. But, Craig, I'm speaking for all the officials here. What are the officials going to eat at East Coast National?
So we do it a little bit differently here. One day you'll be eating from one food truck, and one day you'll be eating from another food truck. You'll have a menu that you can pick from. You're going to put your order in, and then your food will be brought to you. Or you can eat it on your break, whatever is best for you.
You don't get break, man.
But it'll be between 2 food trucks. So
and then I will deliver you some snacks to your field.
Yeah. Yep. And you'll have snacks and drinks the entire weekend.
Okay, so I'm hearing crab cakes, lobster tail. I love it. It sounds great. This is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get to eat like a king, and you better not throw up while you're on the field too.
all you can eat.
Hey, Jacob, you know how I like to run up and down that field, so I got to be careful what I eat while I'm working. Jacob, any plans to officiate with me over the weekend? Can we make it happen again?
Listen, man, there are some directors who would have an absolute coronary if I get on the field this weekend. So
East Coast Nationals was my first tournament that I refed at last year. Prime made me ref that one game.
That's true too. Krista got to ref a game last year. I refed a few.
Because I ref in our local league, but not travel ball.
Craig, do you officiate at all?
I have in the past. So funny story. We were. It was an 8-man contact game. 2 of probably the most physical, most competitive teams in the country at that time. Dominion and All Met Core AMC. 2 of the top, probably 1 and 2 of the country at that time. We had a new ref. It was a 3-man crew. The new guy had too much and walked off the field in my league. Literally just walked off. So I went and stepped in, and it was very, very interesting. But yeah, no, I've definitely refed. Again, the old school rules. I wouldn't. I mean, I've been put on the field as a body, as a placeholder, but I'm still learning the rules of the new flag football way. The old contact, even 5 contact, has a lot of nuances that I'm still getting used to from the old style, from when it was before. 8-man contact, I mean, that's pretty much the way it is. I could hop on that field and ref one of those games, no problem. It'd be like riding a bike, but I would not want to do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Krista, I got one more question for you. This is a quiz, and it's a co-ed question, and I'm told that you might be able to answer this for me. Lance and Jacob cannot come to an agreement on this, so I had it happen in league play a couple weeks ago. Okay, so it's under 2 minutes. Okay, it is 2nd down and closed, and a false start happens. What's happening? What do we do?
Are you asking me?
Wait,
no, I'm asking Krista.
2nd down, open 1.
2nd down. Well, yeah, okay. 2nd down, open 1.
You're going from open. You're going open to close.
2nd down, open 1. So now it's 3rd and closed.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Off the down, so that down happened essentially.
Yep. Okay. Good. Hey, that's what I did on the field, and like I said a few weeks ago, it was Showtime that was the on offense. They didn't argue with me. They agreed with my reasoning because I said under 2 minutes, that's a loss of down. So then you lose
down.
that. Yeah, you lost that down and everything that came with it. So Jacob agreed with me, and so Lance,
Jacob
you're
didn't prep
wrong.
me on that either. If he was smart, he would have. But
Do what?
I said, if he was smart, you would have prepped me and told me what to say.
Nope, because
Hey,
guess
we
who I
needed.
called and asked about this a couple weeks ago when Lance and I first started arguing about it. I called Krista.
There we go.
Lance wants to use
Sometimes
the data, but guess what? The data's wrong.
Guess who's made a lot of changes to the co-ed rule book?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
There we
Hey,
go.
Hey,
Me and
Ant, have
me.
you ever been to Richmond area, Virginia at all?
No, I've driven through Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, that whole area. I've driven through it, but I've never been to Richmond. I've heard there's no lights. I've heard everything closes at 6 p.m. Like that's all I've heard.
Let me guess who told you. Yeah, it's
We did, one year we
Jacob told me. He's been
one year we did have it though when it was right after stuff started opening up for COVID. It was terrible because it would be like because we weren't done because that was when everybody wanted to get out of the house. We had like 7,000 people playing. We had to walk everybody out of the park. We could only let teams in like right before their game. It was awful because we get back to the hotel and we were like, "Oh, we're hungry. Oh, wait, there's nothing open."
nothing. Yeah, that's why you eat at the field at this tournament.
Yeah.
Can I just speak for every lineman that had to play during COVID with a mask on their face and almost passed out 3 downs into every single game? Like that was like we needed football so bad that we were willing to pass out if necessary. Like there was
Me,
like
Jacob, and
that
Matrix made a pretend Hall of Fame and talked about it for weeks during.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did. It was so fun. I remember that. It was so fun.
You had to come up with everything. I mean, I was talking about my little miniature charity organization, and I was like having a little podcast where I was talking about all these players that didn't play anywhere outside of Colorado, but we needed something. We needed football so badly.
Yep.
Mhm. That's what we did.
But
I was taking bets on
yeah.
like dogs who was going to win the tug of war.
Oh, speaking of bets, now this is something new that I saw in the Camel City playoffs on the sideline. I don't know if you know what was going on with Brit Brat.
They were doing a parlay on the sidelines. Where's the coins? We need the coins.
So can we get that going on East Coast Nationals? Can we get some parlays on
You gotta ask Teeth
on how
and Brit Brat.
I'm sure there will be. Sure there will be. Just if somebody hands you a wad of cash, just put it in your pocket.
Craig,
mind
you
just
missed
rep
it
the
during
game.
the playoffs. During Camel City playoffs, they were taking parlays during the playoffs. They were like, "I bet he's gonna throw it."
So
I got-
there'll probably be some money on some 8-man contact games. I'm gonna guess. Maybe not even that. Maybe some. Almost every single division is freaking stacked.
Especially 5 contact is the most stacked I've seen it
Yeah,
in a long time.
not 5 non-contact too.
Yes,
Another strong one.
There's going to be there's definitely going to be some bets made on the sidelines this weekend, I'm sure.
All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna put all 3 of you on the spot. Jacob, who wins 5 contact this weekend for men?
I mean, Free Smoke's the world champions right now, so it's tough to get bet against them. But they just got double dipped in the DMV this past weekend against probably like the team that's not going to finish in the top 8. So I would say, I don't know. That's tough. I'm gonna be a homer. I'm gonna say the championship game is gonna be We Can't Dip versus Queen City Bulls, just for fun.
Okay. All right, I'll take that answer. Krista, what do you think?
I gotta go with my young OG Dom, and We Can't Dip.
Okay. All right, Craig. Who you got? Five's contact.
5 contact. I'm gonna say YTG versus main event.
Wow. Okay.
So main event played a couple years ago, and because they made it and they won, it was last year. They won 8-man pro, and it was 1,000 degrees, so they all left. I mean, Mike Demart was playing like
Yeah.
safety and 5-man, so
Yeah.
they didn't actually get to show people. I could see main event doing well, but
They won the very
it's gonna
first
be a
year.
great. Yep. When you were over at the high school.
Yep. Yeah. Talking about
Yeah, well, I can speak as saying main event travels to Colorado. The last 2 years they've traveled, and they have embarrassed every Colorado team in eighth contact. And so, I mean, hey, that's a good pick. YTG, I'll be interested to see who they bring into contact. I hate all players and all teams, so I'm not going to make a prediction.
oh wow, way to
The only prediction. The only prediction I'm going to make is if it's non-contact, I'm throwing a lot of flags, and if it's contact, I'm closing my eyes, and that's how it's going to be. So cool. Well, let me just wrap this up. I appreciate the three of you coming on and just previewing East Coast Nationals. I'm so excited for Richmond and the chance to finally make it out there. And so, just as far as this podcast goes, Clock's Running, we are on everything. We're on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook for Craig and all the other old guys that still are on Facebook. And, you know, hey, I miss MySpace. I need that back. Give me my top 8 so I can really upset people. Like, in 2005, I lived or died on my top 8 on MySpace for sure.
We're all beginner programmers.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on. Look forward to this weekend, seeing you out there. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.